The Andrew McQualter era at West Coast officially begins next Sunday when they host the Gold Coast Suns at Optus Stadium. From his fast and furious game plan to when the Eagles will be a powerhouse again, this is the first instalment of our two-part chat with the man they call Mini. Mini, well, welcome to the West officially. Can I ask you first, why Mini? Why Mini McQualter?
Yeah, look, it's not that exciting story. It started when I was in grade prep. I used to try and hang around my brother at lunchtime and his friends, and I was just basically a mini version of him. Right. So it's stuck since I was 5 years old.
I suppose a lot of Eagles fans are going to be thinking, okay, well, how long is this going to take? Well, we've had a few rough years, got a new coach, we've got some new players, but, I mean, realistically, when can you be a winning football club again?
Yeah, look, it's a really interesting question. I've seen, even like I'll use Hawthorn as the most recent example. I'm not saying we'll do that this year, but it can just change quickly. So we've got some game plan adaptations we're going after, some new personnel that we've got, new coaching staff, so that part takes time, but it can also change quickly. So we're optimistic about the work we've done at the moment. We're certainly quite fit and healthy, and it gives us a great starting point.
Your game plan that you are bringing in and implementing at the club, is it as simple as saying run and gun or fast and furious?
Fast and Furious, I like it. I hadn't heard that one.
Use that.
No, look, simply, it's not that simple at all. And I think it's potentially even been misconstrued a little bit, because ultimately to win games you need to be able to have multiple modes. We can't just be all out fast and attack the whole time. So we're trying to build a well-rounded game plan, but the requirements of AFL at the moment is you have to be really fast. Offensively, defensively, the way you think. So we're trying to instill that into our players. But we have to be able to attack in many ways as well.
When you go quickly in footy, it can lead to turnovers. And when you've got a really young team like you do, there's probably going to be some moments in the box and for the fans where you're like, oh, like, is that just part of this teething process and learning this game plan and developing these young guys into it?
Yeah, I think it's a game in general, though. The game's littered with mistakes. Now, there's more open field mistakes that look worse, or there's closer, slow contest play mistakes. So our job is, we know it's going to have a lot of mistakes, but we're trying to minimise the mistakes as much as possible and still be able to protect them when we do have them. So it'll be an ongoing challenge. I think you're right. We'll have some times where we pull our hair out a bit, but we'll also have some pretty exciting bits of play. How
much do you need to develop your list to play the way you want to play?
It's a good question, and it's a work in progress. I probably don't fully know the answer to it. What I can say is when I took the job to now, we're a more athletic team than I thought we were. We've got some guys that are really athletic. It's a little bit to do with some that we've brought in, but there's also some players on our list that have a high ceiling for athletic capabilities. So it'll be a work in progress. We'll be assessing our list all the time, as every club does, and we'll be making adjustments where we need.
Harley Reid is such a prodigy. He could be anything, but he's still so young. His pre-season's been a little bit stop-startish. He's had a couple of little niggles. Where is he at, do you think, from a physical point of view?
Yeah, look, he's going to be evolving as a physical point of view. Like, he's had a little bit of an interrupted pre-season, but what I've learned about Harley already is that he's really driven to get better. He got put up on a pedestal last year by a lot of people, and for a young kid, that's tough. But since day one that I've worked with him, he's got a desire to get better. It's not going to be an overnight fix. He's not going to become the fittest player in the league tomorrow. He's going to be a work in progress, but he's also got some strengths that we really will look to utilise.
There will be a pull from those clubs over there to bring him back. How do you make sure that your connection with him is really, really strong so that he feels like this is the place that he wants to be for a really long time? Yeah,
so it's just about respect, really. Building our relationship, built off honesty and looking after each other and supporting each other. But importantly, like, my job is to challenge Harley as well. And he and I have had conversations around that, and he's been really receptive to it. So that's all just part of it. But he's no different to any other player on our list. That's my job with all our players, and that's something I'll strive to do.
You got a couple of new kids in the door last year. Bo Allen looks like he's going really well. Is there a chance we might see him in a round one debut potentially?
Yeah, there is, and there's been, to be honest, all of our first year players have shown signs that they'll be good AFL players, which is really pleasing. The draft's always difficult. They're very young when they get drafted, players these days, but the guys we got this year have come into our system, They've worked really hard, they're diligent, they're good preparers. Tom Gross, Luca Grego, Malachi Champion, they've all shown bits and pieces. Job Shanahan, we know, can be a really terrific high-end talent as well. And Hamish Davis has shown signs as well that he can be a terrific player as well. So there's been some great signs from all of them.
The game against North in Bunbury, you had Matt Flynn leading the ruck that day, and you had Archer Reid as the second ruckman for a lot of the day, and Bailey playing up forward. Do you not see Bailey as a ruckman?
So Bailey's played 2 years pretty much in a row of just playing AFL ruckman, and he's shown he can be a really good player at that level. So what we did last weekend was we gave him a chance to play as a forward. He hasn't had much chance to play as a forward over the last few years. We know he can do both, so we're just exploring that as well. I think part of this in what we'll do with our team and our lineup, I don't know our best lineup right now, and we probably won't for a little while. So we'll be exploring bits and pieces to see what fits.
So you're going to want to bring players in. You brought a few last year, a few established guys. Chad Warner's the big one. Everyone in WA is talking about it, whether he gets to West Coast, whether he gets to Fremantle, whether he stays at the Sydney Swans or God knows, goes somewhere else. How are you going to approach the Chad Warner noise that's going to come this year? And I'm guessing you'd really love to have him at the Eagles.
Well, the way I'm going to look at it is I'm not really going to talk about opposition players too much, but clearly we want to get great players into our club. And Chad fits that category, so we're going to explore all options available to us to keep improving our list. And that's an exciting part going forward as well.